Hi, welcome to this video, and I'd like to spend a little bit of time in this video talking about the basics of what it is to be a shaman and what exactly shamanism is. Because if you want to be a wizard, a really key part of being a wizard is to be a shaman. And a shaman uses altered states of consciousness to navigate into a world that is different from this one, in order to communicate with something that is not usually directly accessible or visible within this third dimension, this physical dimension, this apparent reality. The shaman knows that there are other worlds, and in my tradition, the Celtic tradition, it literally was known as the other world. You otherwise hear concepts such as this being the middle earth, and then there being the upper world and the lower world. Okay, and we're kind of vibrating in the middle, so you can go into the underworld essentially, or you can go into the upper world. There are different traditions and different models that we can use, maps essentially, to navigate within these realms that are available to us, but the shaman will use altered states of consciousness through meditation, through dance, through drumming, through plant medicines, through psychedelics, through all sorts of different ways, in order to access a realm by opening up the third eye, getting the magical flow, energy moving, and then transcending this reality and seeing, or even going fully into this other realm. And there you meet the otherworldly beings. In my tradition, that's the fairy, known otherwise as the fae or the she. But you know, there are many spirits and many traditions, and you will want to check out for yourself what your ancestors would have worked with. And I think if you work with what your ancestors would have worked with in the land that you're from, or your ancestors is from, and many of us have mixed heritage, so you might want to draw on these different traditions. Otherwise, a lot of us also have past lives. So for example, I've had a past life in ancient Egypt, so I resonate very deeply with that culture as well, and also a little bit Australia. I feel that I was a medicine man as an Aborigine in Australia, so also you might want to draw on things that resonate, because it might be that they resonate because you had a very important lifetime in that other culture. So it's finding what works for you, and then finding out what cultures, what they use, what was their model, what was their map for the shamanic realm, what beings, what entities did they commune with, and how did they go about accessing these realms. What was the methodology that they used? What was the methodology they used? What was the map that they used? And who were the beings that they encountered? These are things which you can inquire for yourself through your own journey, through visualization, through intention, through meditation, through drumming, through dance, through breath work, through psychedelics for sure, through plant medicines. And if you can, as I say, use the appropriate plant medicines, drum rhythms, breathing patterns, as far as you're aware of, then you're going to have a much more likelihood to get in touch with what it was that your ancestors or your past lives, wizard or witch, medicine man, medicine woman, would have done. So a shaman is someone who is able to, you know, get into a trance state, essentially. Usually the eyes would be closed or a little bit open, and then see through the veil of this apparent reality, and then pierce through into this other reality, and then kind of journey in some way until you kind of gradually leave this realm behind, leave the thoughts behind, leave the body behind, and find a way to like ride the magical energy, the secret fire, what I call the dragon fire or the kundalini, and use that to then be able to flow your consciousness into and in through this other realm of consciousness, and there you converse with some being if you're lucky, and that will give you the knowledge that you seek. So it might be that you want to get in touch with a certain plant. It might be that you want to get in you want to know what's going to heal myself, or what's going to heal a member of my tribe, what's going to feel, and so you might want to journey into the plant kingdom and be open to communicate with the forest. And because it said, for example, that it was shamans using mushrooms in Peru that discovered ayahuasca. They said you've got to take the leaf and the vine, the two aspects of the ayahuasca, and you've got to mix them together. And when you mix the two together, one of them is called chacruna, and the other one I forget. And when you mix these two together, then it produces the ayahuasca visions, the DMT visions, that gives you access to this very real feminine mother ayahuasca energy that is extremely wise, extremely perceptive, and you can't really get more profound shamanic experience than working with mother ayahuasca in Peru, or a place like Colombia where these traditions continue to this day. But that was discovered by shamans who talked to the plants directly via the mushrooms. So mushrooms themselves are a very ancient and sacred way that wizards and witches, shamans, essentially have used to communicate with the elemental realm. So you can gain access that is outside of your awareness by being a shaman. That's what the role of the shaman is, and it's extremely valid. It's extremely important. There are many, say, different ways of going about this, and I will do my best to share with you the maps that I've used and that have resonated with me the most on my journey so far. And hopefully some of these will resonate with you, or help you to find your own way as a shaman. So there's many paths to shamanism, whether it's the Celtic shamanism from my ancestors, or from Siberia, where the word shaman comes from, or the Native American traditions, which have become particularly famous as people in America start warming to the indigenous cultures, which have a collective memory of how to work with spirits, which has been forgotten largely in the modern Western culture that has swept across the world. So that's a little bit of a basics into shamanism. If you're new to it, or if you're not, I hope that was useful. And we'll dive into a lot more detail in the following series of videos. So thanks very much, and see you in the next video.